Above the Arctic Circle in rural Alaska, the Northwest Arctic Borough School District covers 38,000 square miles in one of the most beautiful and remote areas of North America. About 2,000 predominantly native Inupiaq students in 13 schools across 11 villages separated by miles and miles of Arctic tundra make this district one of the most unique and challenging to teach in. Here in the Northwest Arctic, life has been rapidly changing and cultures converging, and the village schools find themselves at the focal point. Teachers and administrators must both prepare their students for a changing future while preserving the unique heritage and values of the Inupiaq culture. Some schools in the district had a hard time adjusting to the changing dynamics in the region. Behavior had become a major issue, resulting in large teacher turnovers and a decline in academic performance.
You can always tell a school's culture 5 minutes when you're walking in the door. When I walked in to visit, there was just this sort of depressive feeling, and just the kids' body language and the way that they spoke to each other was very negative. And I kind of termed it as that they were sort of dying on the vine.
At that time, the kids was running the school, using a lot of profanity towards anything, resident. It was like the Wild Wild West.
It was, I guess the best way to put it was unstructured. At the end of that year, we had about 90% turnover. There were only 5 returning teachers out of 20-something. And so the next year, we really felt it coming into the year.
We came right after the entire staff, principal on down, had evacuated basically. It was a real tough school, tough times in the village. The staff, just everybody left.
It was slow motion, like nobody was just like interested in school for their kids. Sometimes when they don't go to school, they don't go to school.
Many elders, many parents reported to us here that they did not have any control over their kids. They did not see any future for their kids.
The district leaders knew something had to change, and across the schools, administrators began to implement the Safe and Civil Schools STOIC framework, creating new structures, teaching expectations, observing and monitoring, interacting positively, and correcting misbehaviors early and fluently. The Safe and Civil Schools framework provides flexibility in its implementation, which allowed the building principals and village elders to integrate the traditional Inupiaq culture and values into the daily life of the schools.
The shift the first 2 years, we were having a lot of collaborative meetings, professional development on safe and civil procedures and classroom management and correcting fluently and making sure that, all of those things were in place in our main hallways, in our common areas, and also in the classrooms, and being consistent with each other. So that's a whole shift in thinking. Because if you look at the power of the culture that we have in our region and the Inupiaq values that are trying to be instilled into students, that it was really an umbrella to safe and civil procedures.
September 24th, 2012, and that was one of our turning points. And so right then and there, we institutionalized our safe and civil STOIC into format of saying we are all in this together. People coming in wondering why is the we. Mantra means for the village, because we were trying to get the village to come together to push our kids' education. The village adopted that. But we're like, that is what we are about.
Now that I think about full year 3, we are at a point where we can start focusing on academics. And it was really refreshing at the end of last year, wrapping up and having conversations about, okay, let's look at the academic situation we have in the elementary, and let's start making some decisions moving forward. That would not have happened 6 years ago.
It's been wonderful watching the evolution, Roger's vision coming into play, what he wants. He works tirelessly in the community. He does house calls. He's talking to them constantly, and again, gives them that tough love. They know what the expectations are from him on no uncertain terms, but at the same time, he lets them know that he loves them, parents and kids. So
The principal, he pushed them for education. Yeah, we hear every morning to VHF that they need to be on time. But if we push our kids for more education, they will have more jobs and good living.
When you bring in teachers and administrators, probably 98% of which are not from this region, to work with and teach, you need a framework that is flexible enough to adapt to not only the school culture, but the regional culture and the culture that the kids bring into the school. And so with that drastic change in our region and climate, we're able to focus on instruction. And that there isn't a stakeholder around that I know of that understands Safe and Civil and seen it implemented that isn't bought into it.